Announcement. Hi, this is Francesca popping in to let you know that I have launched a Patreon, the True Love Society, the community that I founded in 2020. It has a brand new home and it is on patreon.com. If you go to patreon.com/Dear Franny, you will be able to join the True Love Society community for free, which means that you can attend our live monthly open houses, Q&As. You can ask me your questions. I'm so excited to answer them. And there are multiple levels of membership. So if you want to upgrade from the free tier, there's lots of benefits. And the top level membership is the mastermind level. And that is the place where I invite you to join me if you were really serious about having accountability, building relationships within the True Love Society community, and also just having a more structured way of reaching your goals in your love life and also in your life generally, because our love lives are not so separate from the rest of parts of our lives. So if you are interested in really manifesting true love inside and out and really truly loving your life, then I invite you to join the True Love Society community on patreon.com. So patreon.com/Dear Franny, links in the show notes, and I hope to see you there. All right, now to the episode. Hello and welcome to Dear Franny. I'm your host, Francesca Hoagie, and today's episode is such a fun one. It's so much fun. I got to sit down with Ophira and Tali Adut, also known as the Astro Twins, and we talked about their brand new book, The Astrology Advantage, which if you are watching this on video right now on YouTube, then you can see this awesome cover. You can also see all of my post-it notes on the book because I really did read it and it was really amazing. And also, since I recorded this episode last week, I actually got the chance to hang out with Ophi and Tali in New York at their astrology dinner. And I also got a copy of their 2025, I'm also showing this if you're watching the video, horoscope guide. And they really break down you can see how thick this book is by each sign, all sorts of information about your astrology, what to expect month by month, themes of the year, all sorts of things, different categories, money, career, love, dating, so many great things. So I highly recommend this guide, their 2025 guide, as well as their book, The Astrology Advantage. And really quick, I'm going to read their bio. So the Astro Twins are among the most sought after astrologers and intuitive advisors of our time. They are really OGs in this space. As the longtime resident astrologers for Elle magazine and the authors of over 20 books, they are the advisors to a roster of CEOs, celebrities, global leaders, and successful entrepreneurs, including Beyonce, Dua Lipa, and Emma Roberts. On television, the Astro Twins have appeared as guest experts on Bravo, MTV, Good Morning America, The Today Show. They created the first reality TV show based on a dating show based on astrology, which was really awesome. That was on Prime Video. It's called Cosmic Love. And their work on the subject of spiritual technology as an essential tool for business success has been featured in Fast Company and at leadership conferences around the world. Their national best-selling book, The Astrology Advantage, again, here it is, introduces the Astro Twins' revolutionary I Am system, which we are going to dive into in this episode and among many other things. And it's really fun one. I had a great time recording it. I hope that you enjoy listening to it. And without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with the Astro Twins. Ophi and Tali, I am so excited to have you here on the podcast. This is like the most extra special episode of Dear Franny ever. So thank you both for being here. How are you?
So good. So ready for 2025, I think.
So ready, right?
This dragon year has been dragging. Yeah, just burning out the tanks here, you know?
Yeah, 2024 has been a doozy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025. I'm looking forward to your 2025 guide. Wait, can you just tell us about that really quickly before we jump in?
Oh, absolutely. Every year we write basically a tome, a 600-page book that has the trend. It has a trend report for the year ahead. It has extensive forecasts for each of the 12 signs, as well as basically a daily horoscope for every single day of the year that there is a important transit, a retrograde. So it is the Bible to set on your desk or put on your phone, whatever, and just check every single day to see what's going on and guide you through the year.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you give us a sneak peek? 2025.
Yeah, we
Thumbs
gave it a
up,
name.
thumbs down.
Mhm.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up, because we gave it a name. We called it the Year of the Divine Pendulum. So the reason being is because, well, first of all, every single one of the outer planets will be in a new sign this year, which is incredibly rare. But three of them, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus, are swinging forward into a new sign that they haven't been in for decades or centuries, and then swinging back to where they've been for a long period of time, and then back again in 2026. So we're getting this little new realm shift, this glimpse ahead, and then going back. So it's a little bit like, I think,
It's like a bridge year kind of into the second half of the decade.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I have so many questions about that, but I'll look to the guide and let's talk because you have another book that we want to talk about, The Astrology Advantage, and this brilliant IM system that you created. But before we get into the system that you created and the book, can you just tell the listeners a little bit about the two of you? Because look, I mean, you're identical twins, which is an unusual enough life experience.
Yeah.
But you also are obviously you're astrologers and you have I think you've done something really amazing for astrology in that you have brought so much legitimacy to it because our modern society is not one that takes astrology very seriously, right? A lot of people just think of it as like the little 4-line horoscope in the newspaper, right?
Mhm.
Can you just tell us a little bit about how you came to be astrologers? What was this path?
Yeah.
And then also shout out to the University of Michigan because I learned from the book that we're all alums. I went to law
Wait,
school at
really?
Michigan.
Oh, no way.
So
Oh
go blue.
Oh my
God.
God. Go blue. That's
Wow. I love
wild.
the law
So much in
school.
common. I love this. Yeah.
We,
Oh my
we always
God.
have so many synchronicities.
I know.
We really do. And I also looked at your charts. So I know that you guys are, even though you're Sages, and again, happy belated birthday, you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart.
And we're all Capricorn rising.
Yes, yes. I'm like, no
Yeah.
wonder I like love these two so
I
much.
know.
I know.
I know we like instantly bonded when we met at Fast Company Innovation Festival. That was like, oh, she's amazing. We must. So I love that we will Scorpio bond throughout. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
If you don't have Scorpio placements, if you know, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you and your background and how this came to be.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that. So we grew up in Detroit and in a home where everybody spoke a different language. We like to say we were Middle Eastern in the Midwest. And as twins, we even had our own language. So we were always looking for a common universal language. And then we went to art school at University of Michigan, not law school. While there, my Virgo Scorpio moon boyfriend Calvin gave me a birth chart as a 21st birthday present. I was curious about astrology, but from there, Tali and I have pretty much the same chart, being born 4 minutes apart. And we went down the rabbit hole of like, how does this 30-page document know everything about us? And this is way too much to dismiss as like a coincidence or confirmation bias. We got a little piece of software to do people's charts and doing our friends' charts, reading out of a book, remembering things. It just came to us. I think it was like almost like a divine download. So here we are 30 years later, and we've had this tool. We didn't mean for it to be our careers. We worked in publishing and media, but once you go down the astro rabbit hole, it just becomes what you talk about with everybody, right? So
Yeah.
we got a reputation for the oldest profession, not that one. That's what I like to call astrology. The other oldest profession. Yeah. The other one will stay in the Scorpio vault. And you can wonder.
Totally.
Like fast forward, here we are, and we have our website, astrostyle.com. We got the moniker Astro Twins and it just stuck. So we've built it into this platform and brand bit by bit over the years. Now we have several million followers who read us worldwide every month, 22 books and counting, and courses. We teach people how to read their birth chart.
You have your podcast that I listen to every week.
Thank you. We got to start shouting that out. Like it was an experiment we started this year, but seems that people are listening to it. So yes, we have a podcast, Astro Twins Radio.
Yeah, on Monday, I'm like, okay, I got it. What's the astrology this week? What's going on planetarily? Okay, so I love this. And I think it is obviously so divine, right? That astrology found the two of you and you resonated with it so deeply. And you were not only personally resonant with it, but able to really translate it for other people in a really accessible way. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, really like, going back to the book, The Astrology Advantage and the I Am system that you created. And of course, in the show notes, listeners, there is a link to astrostyle.com/I am. You can get your own chart. You can get your own report. You can find out your own I am archetype, which we're going to dive into in a minute.
Yeah.
But I think that astrology, either people can be very dismissive of it, mm-hmm. or they can be intimidated by it.
Yes.
Because there is so much to it. And I put myself in the intimidated by it category, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess, first of all, what is your succinct definition of astrology, number one, and why should everyone care about it?
I would say it's a tool for planning your life and understanding your personality and what makes you tick according to the stars. The map of astrology is the movement of the planets through the skies. We think of the planets as the cast of characters in the movie of your life. Or if you've done internal family systems work, they're the parts. So each one plays a role. The sun sign, which is Scorpio, we know that's your zodiac sign. That's your main character energy. But the moon plays a role. It's your emotional nature. The Venus is how you like to be loved. Jupiter is where you're lucky. So each one of these cast members really does, make up the movie of your life. And the sign that they're in, when you were born, they're in one of the zodiac signs. It's like the costume that they're wearing. And so we kind of, understanding all these different, we all contain multitudes.
Yeah.
So understanding all these different voices and characters that live within you is like, I don't know, there's no better way to get to, explore the dimensions of who you are as far as we're concerned. Yeah.
I love thinking of it as like these characters, right? And these aspects of ourselves, because we do contain multitudes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it is so helpful. And, one of the reasons why I love the book so much and the I Am system so much is because, and I think it's so genius that you came up with this, a way to make everyone's individual chart accessible.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to understand every single placement in your chart. You don't have to understand all of the transits and because that's where it gets into that overwhelm of like,
you could take all those characters and put them into a single defining archetype. It's hard for people to remember, oh, my Jupiter's here, my Saturn's here, which is why we wrote The Astrology Advantage, because most people can only remember one thing and they remember their sun sign. But what if you could remember your whole chart with just one thing and use all of that?
Yeah, and that's what we tried to do, because your sun sign, for example, so what we use with the I Am system is something that's been used in astrology for a long time, but not packaged this way, called the chart dominance. There are 3 qualities or modalities called cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So 12 signs are divided into those 3 groups. We rename them Innovator, Authority, and Maven, which is short for I Am. We thought people would remember that, just to give a shorthand, because your sun sign, your zodiac sign or sun sign, you might only have a minority of your planets in that energy, in that archetype. So, for example, if you're a Scorpio, but all your other planets are in very different signs, then you may not identify it that much with what you read as a Scorpio. So this encapsulates that core essential energy, your psychological drivers, your motives, the how and the why of what you do.
So how did you come up with this system? I mean, when did you I mean, did you set out to say like, okay, we need to figure out a way to translate this and make it simpler for people, or did it just sort of arise and you found yourself
What happened was we were working with Marie Forleo's B School a few years ago.
I took B school.
You did? Okay, yeah. You know, we're business and marketing and other nerds. We love the Capricorn rising. We love the process of building a business. We never wanted to have to work for anyone else. So we've invested in learning these skills and we became affiliate partners for the program because we got so much out of it. And we started doing our own incubator. So the people who would sign up through our partner program gave them something we called the Cosmic Success Incubator, where they got to work with us and do B school, but also build their business through their charts. And we quickly realized it's a little too much, a lot too much to try to focus on building a brand and learning astrology at once. We're like, we need a shorthand. And that's where we came up with I Am and piloted it in our own group over a couple of years. Then we did our own groups called Astropreneurs, our own like 1 year coaching program a couple of times. And we've just been piloting it and road testing it. What we realized more than anything, interestingly, is that when people look at a chart and they see all the symbols and hieroglyphics, their brain goes into an overwhelm freeze. This happens to me with human
Yeah.
design when I look at the body graph. Like I'm still waiting for somebody
It's complicated.
teach me this, please. I should be able to know this. So what we did was actually turned the visual of the birth chart into a spreadsheet, which if you go to the I Am part of our website, you can do the I Am diagram and see it all that way. And when people see it that way, even the skeptical, practical, or intimidated people are like, oh, that's what that is? Okay, this makes sense. And because it's now linked, you know, they say neurons that fire together, wire together. So now you're looking at your chart and it looks like something you've seen a million times over, a grid, a spreadsheet, and you're not turned off by it and shut down. You're like, oh, I feel safe taking one step in further. So I've noticed that with people over time. Astrology is an amazing tool, but it has a marketing problem. You know, so we were trying to solve for that.
Oh, well, I think you've done a brilliant job. And okay, so let's dive into the system and these three archetypes. So again, everyone, in the show notes, there will be a link to astrostyle.com/I am. You enter your birth details, you hit submit, and bam, you're going to get your own customized chart. So you will know which archetype you are. But do you want to just give us an overview of the three?
So we take 13 points in your chart, just so you know what we're your sun, moon, your ascendant, the 9 planets, and then the Mercury through Pluto, basically. We put them in the blender, basically. And if most of them are cardinal signs, which are the signs that start the season, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, they begin with either an equinox or a solstice, then you are what we call the innovator. That's what we are. So you're the initiator, the pioneer, the one who, you know, plows in with a whole new vibe, but also maybe drives people a little crazy. Well, I don't want to let go, you know. And then if your chart is mostly fixed signs, these are the mid-season signs of Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, then you're what we call the authority. Authorities are kind of the flame keepers, the ones that hold on to tradition, keep things organized. Hey, we're in the middle of things here. Let's keep the stamina going. They're also very creative signs. You being a Scorpio, you have a fixed sign there for your sun sign. And then lastly, the mavens are the ones with mostly mutable signs. They're the end of season ones. So that's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. They're the ambassadors, the messengers, the ones who take the big ideas and shout them out to the world and get everybody together for a dance class or, you know, a boba tea and, you know, lose track of time, but they're so fun, you don't mind. So Yeah, so we all have.
We like to say the innovator plants the seed, the authority farms it and cultivates it and even harvests it, and the maven makes it into a meal and gathers everyone around the table to enjoy it. So everybody has a role.
Mm.
There are some people who are a hybrid, like you,
Like
two
me.
of them. So there's basically 6 things you could be. You could be an innovator, authority, or maven, or a combo of the 2. You're an innovator maven. And
Yes.
we bring in later on the 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water. So there are 84 possible combinations of fire, earth, air, and water, and I am, and you get an archetype. So you're one that I haven't actually seen anybody be before. You're the
Really?
way show. Yeah. The air, water, innovator, maven, the way shower, a strategic and intuitive planner who guides others towards success and clearly articulates the group's mission. So,
Wow. I love it.
yeah, I know. And you have only 1 earth planet. You're 2 fire, 1 earth, 5 air, 5 water. And even though
Yeah.
you're a Scorpio, which is one of the authority signs, that is what you're lowest in. You're 5, 3, 5, and I am. And that's what I think people find so eye opening when they do this, even if they just do their I am. Like, we're a maven sign, Sagittarius, but we're 6, 4, 3. We are also the lowest. Yeah, so it's really illuminating to people. I did a workshop recently at a professional networking place for women, and everybody was doing their chart and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I've been living as an authority trying to force myself into this pathway. Now I find out I'm a maven. I should be doing a different role or approaching my job differently." So you don't have to quit your job when you find out, or leave your relationship, but you can be like, "Oh, okay, I've been banging my head against this wall. Here's a whole new way that I could be approaching my life, my career, my path, my choices, my dreams," that kind of thing.
I love about your system and also human design, because you guys know I'm a big fan of human design,
Oh, we love that too.
which is that it's not telling you to be something that you're not. It's actually showing you and giving you permission to be like, oh, wait, that's why.
Right.
That's why
Mhm.
when I do things this way, well, which maybe other people tell me that's how it should be done,
Yep.
it doesn't work for me.
Yep.
Or that's why. And it just gives you permission to just fully be yourself. And I
Yeah.
just think that is the greatest gift, you know?
Absolutely. This is
Yeah.
created in the same spirit as human design to make it simplify. I mean, for some reason, like, there's sort of a backlash against modern astrology too. Like, because I think just because we're like, oh, you want me to remember so much more. And the people who are into it are really into it. So it makes people feel left out sometimes when people start to astro geek too hard with the public, you know?
I think that's right. I think it makes people feel left out and it just then feels impossible. Like, okay, well, this is just way too much. I have a quick question and I want to go back to the archetypes. You know, one question that comes up a lot, and it's interesting that you call astrology the other first profession, oldest profession.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I used to be a matchmaker, and in matchmaking, we call matchmaking the world's second
Oh,
oldest profession, right?
wow. Yeah. So funny.
So it's interesting that there's that connection too. But
Uh-huh.
anyway, people will ask me, they'll say, well, I'll hear people say things, especially on social media, like, you know, I'd never date a Leo.
Right.
Right.
You know, no one should date whatever, Gemini men, or, you know, whatever. You know, people get these ideas about they attach to a sun sign and maybe an experience they've had. I think you talk about relationships in a very helpful way in the book
Okay.
because you're talking about like how to make it work, right?
Mhm.
But I wonder, do you have opinions about that?
We
Like,
do. Yeah, of
Always.
course. I mean,
and I know you obviously had your reality show, you know, that was all about astrology and matching people based on their astrology. But do you feel like there's some signs that just should not ever be together?
not really, but we do see the same. I feel like every sign has its own way of being obnoxious and off-putting, and you just see it over and over again. Like, I mean, we hear the most shade goes to Capricorn men and Gemini men, I think
Mm.
a lot of times. Like, Capricorn men are just like, when they're bad, they can be domineering, cold, treat you like you're their personal assistant, just like, And Gemini men, when they are in their worst, their shadow, they are the ultimate F boys and play, just there's plenty of exceptions to the rule with that. But I mean, I wouldn't ignore someone's sun sign at all. But I would say, like, if you want to be with somebody and they happen to be a sign that you've had trouble with in the past, well, learn about their sign. Like relationships are so rarely just plug and play, there's always going to be something and, growth involved. So in our book, we've made the archetypes the idealist. The innovator becomes the idealist. They want the ultimate relationship like no one's seen before.
At our own peril.
Which got me engaged after 3 days at Burning Man. So, but it was the ultimate.
Really?
It lasted for 15 years. So, it did good time, But
Okay.
that could also be my idealist. I'm going to make this work. I'm an innovator. And then the authority becomes the attacher. They do really want someone they can just we are attached bonded for life. And the maven becomes the mirror. They need this, their mate is their mirror. Tell me about me. Tell me back and forth, back and forth. So it is, I've gone back over the history and I've been with a lot of mavens and funny enough, not a lot of authorities, but you can see the pattern. I think I need someone to get me to get away from my work and be social. So
and we cover that in the book. I think what happens. The innovator is like, ooh, this maven wants to hear all my ideas, but then it's like, oh, they still want to talk, and I am going off to create we don't know if J-Lo is an authority or a maven, but Ben Affleck is an innovator. And I feel like in that moment that he needed someone to notice him and she was there, it worked. But as soon as he was like, all right, I'm on to the next project or whatever, maybe that was he needed his own place. Innovators shouldn't just move in with people. Those are the kind of tips. We're looking at this from a 30K foot view, not this is how to shoehorn yourself into the traditional relationship structure and force yourself to eat your vegetables and like it. It's no, as an innovator / idealist, you may never want to live with someone. Or a maven should have their own room with a door because they're going to make a mess and you're going to need to throw their shit in there later on. Authorities.
This resonates so deeply. I can't even tell you.
Furniture covered in plastic that no one ever goes in except on a major holiday at best. It's just kind of human beings are stupid, silly, and funny and goofy and ridiculous. And we take ourselves way too damn seriously. So it's let's get some permission and spaciousness here to look at ourselves and be yeah, I actually have these quirks. There's this TikTok trend this week of couples confessing the stuff to each other. And the other one is kind of
oh, I saw that.
I am listening without judgment or something. While the other one is I stick my middle finger up when you walk away, or I spit in your coffee.
I saw Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick put that to music. It's really funny.
Oh, they did. Oh, that's good.
Trend going around right now. We know.
That is funny.
Yeah.
I mean, relationships are really in the middle of a giant iOS update, we say, and we need some new ways of doing them instead of pretending that we all want to be trad wives or F boys. And, we need something in between those two.
Did you use astrology when you were a matchmaker, Franny?
I didn't, because I didn't know enough about astrology to do that. And I also I didn't discover human design until after I stopped matchmaking and started coaching. So as a coach, I've used human design, but it's super helpful. It's so fascinating, as an innovator maven, I so resonate with everything you just said about us. It was just flashing back. The only time that I've had to share a bathroom with anyone in the last actually more than 20 years was briefly with an ex. We had 6 months where we lived somewhere and we had to share a bathroom. And he was definitely an authority. I think that's actually my pattern, which is really interesting, is to always be with authorities. My partners are always much more grounded than I am, always. But I used to spend so much time in the bathroom because that was the place where I could close the door and just be alone. And he'd be like, what are you doing? I mean, I started bringing my laptop into the bathroom. He's like, you're bringing your laptop?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get it at the time. Like, I was like, why do I feel this need to like just go and like cocoon and do my
Yeah.
own thing? But, it makes sense now.
Something happened with Pluto going into Aquarius on November 19th, where people are just starting to confess that they are autonomous beings. Like Barbara Corcoran, who's in her 70s, is on a podcast, I think, with Jamie Kern Lima, saying how she has a separate bedroom from her husband, and that's the secret to her marriage. She's probably an innovator. I'm gonna have to check, or a
Wow.
maven, but she was like, he has to be invited into my bedroom, and like, I don't want him in there. He wants to talk and digest the day. We both work. I was like, thank you for allowing this to be normalized.
Yeah. No, it's so true. Yeah. I'm like, I don't mind sharing a bedroom, but in the morning, I need like an hour to an hour and a half to myself. If you think we're gonna wake up and like jump right into like talking and like, nope. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need a slow start to
Yeah.
this day. And I need to do it in solitude.
One of our predictions from our 2024 book was that relationships would become like gender and get a bunch of sort of pronouns for them in order to
Mm.
survive. Like, it's time to stop pretending that there's this one model
Yes.
for relationship.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I have a book coming out next year.
cool.
In April of 2025, this pendulum year. So we'll see.
Oh my God, perfect.
The timing is right. But yeah, it's like we got to throw out this whole idea that, it's just about, first of all, just being in a relationship, right? Like that's not the goal, right?
Not next
Right.
year.
Also to understand, and I think this is one of the things I really love about your system, the IM system, is like understanding that relationships are not here to make you comfortable all the time. Kind of the whole point of coming together is that you are learning, you are growing, you are expanding your ability to be more loving, to receive more love. That's not a snap your fingers and you find one perfect person and now voila.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like, I don't know what to do because I feel both sympathy, but also like, oh God, you got to wake up from this illusion. What's I just want to find my person. When am I going to find my person? And I'm like, I've got like women who are like in their 60s saying that sometimes to me. And I'm like, when you become your person,
Yes.
you'll find your person.
Yes.
Because you are your person. I'm just like, but like they're on the, I can't wait to read your book because like
Thank
it's like an
you.
addiction mentality.
Yeah.
Like if I just have this drug, everything in my life will be okay. I'm like, sorry to pop the bubble. But
Yeah, exactly. You can't look to another person to make you happy. You've got to figure out how to be happy yourself and how to love yourself, right? And that's one of the things in the book that I really resonated with is the self-care, right? So I love how you go into self-care, based on your archetype. And I just resonated so much. Like, I wish that I had this book like 30 years ago.
So do
wow.
we.
Did anything jump out in particular for yours?
The things that jumped out are the things that I have now actually discovered for myself. Like, as an innovator maven, I'm reading all the innovator sections for myself, and I'm also reading all the maven sections for myself. The healthy habits for the innovator to develop, I'm like, oh my God, these are literally all things that I do now. Morning exercise, right? So one of the things that I do in the morning, I do my morning pages, and then I just do like 10 or 15 minutes of yoga, just to stretch, just to come back to my body, just to like ground myself for the day. Eating at regular intervals, that's totally me, totally me. And also not eating too late, which is another thing that I've discovered about myself. If I do make the mistake of eating too late, then I have to stay up for another like 3 hours, 4 hours before I can go to sleep.
That last night.
I don't know how people just like eat a heavy meal and go to sleep. Like I like physically can't do that. And if I do, and the times that I have, it's not good. Box breathing.
Oh yeah.
This has been a life-changing practice for me. Prepping food in advance. This is a really big thing for me. Because otherwise I'm like, how am I going to eat all the things I need to eat? Right.
Right.
So I roast like big batches of vegetables in advance and then like eat them all week. Just like, oh my God, literally every tip. I'm like, this is what I have finally discovered that I need to do for myself. Right.
So awesome.
And also with the Maven, powering down before bed. This is something that I talk about so much with people because, our relationship with technology. Oh, I also want to talk to you guys about technology. Okay.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
Oh,
All
many
right.
things. Yeah.
I love it.
Powering down before bed, this is a really big thing for me. And I had to learn this the hard way because I was very phone addicted, and I'd say it's probably, at this point, it's probably been almost 10 years. I would have my phone, by my bedside. And that's what I would do the last thing before I went to sleep. And I, first thing in the morning, grab my phone.
Mhm.
And I woke up one morning and I literally had lockjaw. I could not open my mouth,
Wow.
which is a
Wow.
very terrifying experience
Oh
if
my
anyone's
God.
ever
Yeah.
Oh my
experienced.
God. Yeah.
And like I
Oh,
totally had, I had to like calm myself down and massage my
wow.
jaw and just like relax enough that I could actually open my mouth. And I was like, okay, well,
That's terrifying.
this is
That would
not
scare
good,
me.
right? And I'm like, okay, clearly. And I already know that I carry tension in my jaw. And so I just was like, okay, what am I got to do something differently here. And I had this inspiration, like maybe this relationship with your phone is part of the problem here. So I did an experiment where I started keeping my phone in the living room. And basically, like an hour before I was ready to go to bed, I would just like plug the phone in and I wouldn't look at it again. And I would just do my whole
Nice.
nighttime routine. And same thing in the morning. Like I get up, I do my morning routine, and then I go to the phone, and it changed my life.
God, I
So
need to
That's
do that.
awesome. I know. I'm like, I'm inspired.
I'm like the biggest evangelist of this, like truly.
Mhm.
So powering down before bed, I'm like, oh my God, exactly. Let friends know your do not disturb hours. Again, because I have
Oh,
these
yeah.
rules with my
Mm.
technology. So people will say to me, like, oh, it was really late and I didn't want to text you. I'm like, you can text me. I'm not going to see it.
Yeah.
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 Text
Yeah.
me anytime. I will not see it until I am awake and I'm ready to look at my phone. Media
Mhm.
timeouts. This is, again, I take a lot of breaks because I know that the energy of it overwhelms me. Keeping healthy snacks. I'm like literally everything. Like I joke, I'm like, I snack like a kindergartner because I literally eat like carrots and hummus and apple slices with peanut butter and like and daily meditations. So
Ants
like
on a
literally
log.
everything. I'm like, this is, but it took me, I'm 50 now. It took me a long time to figure out all of these things that I need to do to really thrive. But you guys, it's all right here. I could have just read the astrology advantage.
You know what? Hey, we just turned 52. So,
Yay.
it's like, that's the beauty. That's our approach to astrology has always been bringing the stars down to earth. So, we want to make sure that we load you up with like really good advice in every single area of life throughout the book that you can apply and use
Yeah.
immediately. Because what's the point of a system
If
if
you
you
can't
can't
apply it,
apply it,
right. Yeah. If
And
it's not
so,
practical, if it's not
yeah.
tangible. And I think, and all the career stuff really resonates a lot with me too. Luckily, I feel like I've kind of figured out my, when I say I figured it out, like, it's, it's ever evolving.
As much as an innovator
Exactly. As
maven
much as I
can, right?
can. I'm like, at least I know the next year to 2 to 3 years, I probably I know, kind of know what I'll be doing. But I spent a long time, as I mentioned, I went to U of M law school. I used to be a lawyer. I knew I didn't want to be a lawyer forever, but I didn't know what else to do. And I was stuck in that I don't know place for a really long time. So when I was reading like the whole career
Mm.
section, I'm like, oh, this would have been so helpful.
I'm so curious what had you go to law school being 3 authority and 1 earth. It's like such a very, very earthy authority kind of thing. You are the way shower, so I would imagine it was maybe because you wanted to understand how to guide people to some kind of
Ophi, thank you for giving me so much credit. Honestly. I didn't know what else to do with myself. I had originally, so undergrad, I studied TV and film production. And that was the path that I was going
Oh,
to
cool.
take. I was going to move to LA and like be an assistant and work my way up. And right after graduation, I worked on a film and it was a really horrible experience. And I was like, being the lowest person, very hierarchical structure. And I had a bad experience of being sexually harassed by a producer. And
that whole industry is TV and film is like
oh my God.
our foray. That's another Soho House conversation. Apparently, but man, the highs are high, but the lows are low. Yeah.
The lows are lows. And this was, this was the 90s. So anything went. I mean, I literally had a producer grope me
Oh,
in
yeah.
front of like a crowd of people, and everyone just like looked the other way. Like literally, I saw everyone just
God.
because I looked, I'm like, oh my God, like I kind of froze and I look around and everybody just immediately looked away. Like, didn't happen, didn't happen, didn't happen.
No one ever thought the smartphones were a coming, huh?
Right. So I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to work for me. So I, in this limbo, and I just had a lot of people say, oh, you're smart. You should go to law school. You can do anything with a law degree. And I was like, okay, there's no math on the LSAT. Math is not my strong suit.
No earth. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, logic, reasoning, I can figure that out. So that's why I went to law school. But anyway, that's a whole, again,
Interesting.
we'll talk about that. So
I love like hearing how someone's life choices fit with their I am and their type because it's so fascinating. There's always some reason that you thought this was the right way to express that, even though like you may find out. Yeah. So hopefully people who have the astrology advantage won't have to like, just shoot so many
yeah,
arrows before they hit the
yeah,
target. Like they might be like, oh yeah, this
yeah,
is
yeah. Like, don't go to law school if you don't want to be a lawyer. It's
right.
a
Yeah.
lot of time. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of energy. And then you're a lawyer. So anyway, so I appreciate the fact that this system, again, it's so practical. And I think this is why, as I was saying at the beginning of the conversation, the two of you have been able to really rebrand astrology, and bring a lot of legitimacy to it. And that's why you are speaking at Fast Company and you are working with big corporations in addition to working with celebrities and entrepreneurs and all of that. But business has really embraced you and has really embraced your work. And so, how'd you do that?
I think by having an astrology business and working on it, actually, like
Yeah.
treating it like a business, I think, and it's something I mean, if you don't want to do this with your astrology practice, please don't and plug your ears. But I think I mean, we're the daughters of immigrants and, they had to hustle. So we had that work ethic. We never wanted to, as sages and innovators, we never wanted a boss. So we're like, we better figure out how to make this profitable. But I think business is really interesting and ripe for reinvention. And for us, it's something creative to do. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, get my $135 Cash App astrology readings on, and they want to be more like, like witchy, and it's just kind of like a mystical Harry Potter vibe or something. I don't know. What do you think, Tali?
I mean, yeah, and that's totally fine. But yeah, we've always been entrepreneurial. Like we had our own business since we were 9. Anyway, we like learned how to do calligraphy. Like our uncle gave us some pens, and then all of a sudden we were doing all the certificates for the school district. I think, and then we had a paper route.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
And they were like, "We'll pay you $50." You were like, "Well, okay."
Oh my gosh. You guys, this Capricorn rising is really showing through.
I know it really
The
is.
Capricorn rising is also like our parents are like a Leo and a Sag, both fire innovators, and they were married young. They were students, and they just like they were not good with money when they were younger, and they never had enough for like you can get your school clothes at Kmart. We're gonna spend this much on groceries every week. We grew up very like working class, and we're like
Sears was the
getting teased for the fake Nike, Adidas. We were like, F this, we're making our own money and getting our own clothes. So we got a paper route. Anyway, it was just like we learned if you want it,
the drive to
figure
not
out
have
how
a
to get.
boss. Yeah, the drive to not look like a dork and have a boss may have informed this a little bit, but also just the idea of like being able to make your own schedule, have your own time, like has led up, and just the puzzle of business because it's a puzzle. Unpacking the puzzle of what it takes to have a brand is really fascinating. Like learning how to use different software programs from design. Like we went to art school, so we were at Michigan.
Yeah.
We were there the year that the 1.0 version of Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, I don't even know if there was Illustrator, there was like
There was
PageMaker came out. So we were learning those.
Page maker.
Page Maker.
Remember PageMaker?
I'm gonna cop to a little Detroitness. Like if you tell me I can't do something, I think Tali may have this too. I'm like, oh yeah, watch me. Like I've had so many pretty much men, but also women have said, like, like, well, you can't do that. That's not what the business world does or whatever. And I'm like, watch me. So, like, I get off on like being like, oh, I can't make ring
True
astrology into the
innovators.
business world. Side note, I went down a rabbit hole of learning about the mother-daughter duo who invented Myers-Briggs, because I had a lot of people say,
Oh, yeah.
well, it's not a peer-reviewed personality test like Myers-Briggs. I was like, it's created by a mother and daughter from Michigan
Yeah, no.
Totally made up.
who they discovered Carl Jung's 12 archetypes, which are astrologically related. And the mother wrote erotic fiction about Carl Jung and sent it to him. And then they created the system. Yeah.
What?
Catherine Briggs and
I didn't know
Isabel
that part.
Briggs Myers, a Capricorn and a Libra. So yeah, there's called the Personality Brokers book.
She was trying to push up on Carl
And they
Jung?
happened to like
Wow.
go try to meet him.
So fascinating.
He blew them off and invited them to New York. And that's when they connected with this guy from the Harvard psychology school. Like, psychology was almost like considered as pseudoscientific as astrology. I mean, I'm like, you will not tell me that I can't bring astrology to the business world after I read this and
Yes.
about the Enneagram's history. So
Yeah, I know it's all made up. I know people think Myers-Briggs is like this super scientific thing and they take it so seriously. And I'm like, okay.
okay. Mhm.
It's also the fact that from working with our clients and using astrology ourselves, we actually know that it is one of the most helpful tools for your career. Like if you know your north and south nodes, your lunar nodes show you your path and what you're here to do. And just like passion, like having your own business and being in the business world, and for us having our careers take place mostly in New York is about living your dreams. So
Yes.
it's not like I'm going to move into this office park in the suburbs.
I can't. The last thing I'll say about this, because I could literally talk to you both all day and I want to let you go. Actually, I wonder, I have this question for you as well, because when I was growing up and people would say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I hated that question because I never had an answer. And I used to be really envious of the people who are like I had like one of my best friends growing up. She always knew she wanted to be a teacher. That was like, and she is. And that's like, she followed that path. And I used to be so envious of her to just be like, oh, you know what you want to do and you know exactly the steps to take to get there.
Right.
And all that I knew, this is no offense to anyone, because this is so personal to me, but all I knew and it was that I didn't want to have what I thought of as, quote, an ordinary life.
Totally relate
I
to
didn't
that.
want
Yeah.
my life to be like, I commute to an office and then I work in an office all day and I go on vacation a couple of weeks a year.
Oh, yeah.
And like I was like, that is like prison. I don't, so
Totally. That is for an innovator.
Yeah.
I never want to see a woven basket full of Smart Pop and a giant Poland Spring water bottle being delivered off of a truck again in my life. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, all right. So everyone who's listening to this, make sure that you get the Astrology Advantage. It's so good. It really, I think we've touched on it, but there's so much more in the book that really relates to all areas of your life. It's so helpful. Make sure that you are following Tali and Ofi. They're Astro Twins everywhere. Their website is astrostyle.com. Listen to the podcast so you can get a little. I'm learning so much about astrology just from listening to the podcast every week.
Oh, cool.
Oh, great.
It's so
Yeah.
helpful. And I'm always like referring back to my chart. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, that's where my where my
Yay.
Mercury is. That's where my this, So I highly, highly recommend it because it's a kind of like the book. It's a very accessible way to like learn more about astrology and incorporate it in your life without having to like do a super deep dive on your own and learn every single thing. So highly, highly recommend it. Before we go, Ofi and Tali.
Oh my God. It's so much
Oh my
fun.
God. We could talk
Again,
all
thank you so
day.
much for being here. This has been so much fun. Seriously. So, two very quick questions. One is, so once people get the book and they learn about their archetypes, what's next, would you say, for them, astrologically speaking? And then also, what's next for the two of you? We have your 2025 book that's out and people can order it now. And what else? What else do you want people to know?
I think we can roll those questions into one. So once you get into your archetype, your innovator authority maven, you're probably going to want to probably feel more confident and ready to learn your whole chart. So we actually will, starting right at the beginning of March, running our Become Your Own Astrologer masterclass again. We piloted it this year. It was amazing. People who knew nothing about astrology, all like they know their cast of characters. So it's an 8-week class that really takes you through the planet signs and houses. So you can start interpreting, reading charts, your own, everyone around you. And so
we can give you the wait list URL for that for people who might be interested. Yeah, we get the Astrology Advantage. It's also on audiobook, on Audible, it's on Kindle, it's in hardcover right now, paperback coming out in the summer. And just experiment, try it out, see what resonates. And then, like Tali said, you will feel more confident, probably backtracking into learning how to read the actual map with the symbols and the circle, which we have a little lesson in the Astrology Advantage on too. So yeah, we just love teaching people things one bite at a time. You can learn your chart. Even people who thought they were like rated themselves as experts on their charts when they did our class were like, you know what? I actually didn't know as much as I thought I did from that CoStar app and my own obsessing. Like now it's really in them and they're confidently going out there and reading charts. A lot of them are even making money because we all need to make money now, and do what we love. So a lot of people,
we offer a certification.
Yeah, we have a certification for it too. So it's proven out to be something really confidence building for people to go out there and be like, I feel like I could actually open a practice doing this now or use it in my practice as a coach, however I choose to, or just use it with my friends and family and explain it in a way that makes it feel legit. We don't want to be, only a tiny percentage of astrologers that are taken seriously and legitimately by the world, So
Yeah.
Really cool how people have embraced astrology, since, it's the only thing we can thank Trump for besides the rate of Bitcoin right now. Just kidding.
I love it. Well, on that note, and definitely share the link for the wait list for the Be Your Own Astrologer course. That's what it's called.
Become Your Own Astrologer.
Become Your Own Astrologer. And I'll share that in the show notes, along with, of course, a link to your website, astrostyle.com, and where people can go and learn so much more about themselves and get their I am archetypes. So Opie and Tali, Astro Twins, thank you so much. And yeah, you guys are great. So appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, there you have it. My conversation with the Astro Twins. Please be sure to check the show notes for links to purchase their book, to their website, their social media. They're Astro Twins. You can find them everywhere. You can find me everywhere. I'm at Dear Franny in all the places. Again, I want to invite you to join me on Patreon, patreon.com/Dear Franny. And I thank you so much, as always, for listening and taking some time out of your day to do so. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and week wherever you are in the world. And I will be back next week with another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Goodbye.